finally here. After a long off-season filled with speculation, surgeries, trades, and training camp buzz, it's officially game week in Philadelphia. And not just any week. This is Dallas week, with the Eagles set to raise their Super Bowl banner and go head-to-head with their bitter rivals, the Cowboys, on Thursday night. The city is buzzing, fans are fired up, and honestly, how could you not be? The road to another championship begins now, and Philly's ready to defend their crown. But of course, as is tradition in Eagles land, the week leading up to kickoff hasn't exactly been smooth sailing. Injury updates, roster tweaks, last-minute depth chart decisions, and some contract buzz have all added extra layers to what's already shaping up to be one of the most anticipated openers in recent team history. And while the fans are looking back and soaking up the glory of last season, don't expect the players to be doing the same. That banner going up at Lincoln Financial Field, that's for us. For them, it's just another game, and it just happens to be against the Cowboys. Just listen to guys like Cam Jurgens and Jordan Mailata when asked about the whole Super Bowl banner ceremony. They couldn't care less. In fact, it's almost hilarious how indifferent they are. Mailata straight up said, "Who gives a damn if we're hanging something?" They're not interested in looking in the rearview mirror. They're focused entirely on what's ahead. And that seems to be the dominant mentality across the entire locker room. As they've said over and over again since the start of training camp, last season is history. What matters is what they do now. It's a new year, a new team, and a brand new mission. There's something seriously refreshing about that attitude. This isn't a team that's satisfied with one championship. It's a team that's hungry for more. And you can tell that mindset has been drilled into every player from the moment they stepped into OTAs. They even had a literal visual during meetings, like they showed a steering wheel and a rearview mirror with the Super Bowl win represented in the rearview. That's how serious they are about not lingering in the past. Even the idea of unveiling the banner before kickoff barely registers for these guys. One player even said, "I forgot we were doing that." That's how laser-focused they are on beating Dallas. And let's be honest, there are few better ways to open a season than by facing your biggest rival under the bright lights of prime time. Add in the energy of a home crowd, the emotion of raising a championship banner, and you've got the perfect storm. But while the fans are reliving every magical moment from last year, this Eagles squad is moving full steam ahead. They know that nothing is promised, and every game, starting with this one, matters. Now, with all that excitement in the air, not everything has been sunshine and rainbows in the build-up to this clash. One major storyline that's quietly flown under the radar is the Eagles' backup quarterback situation. Tanner McKee, who had shown some real promise, has been sidelined for the past couple of weeks with what was initially a mystery finger injury. But now we know it's actually a fractured thumb, suffered in practice when he smacked it on a helmet after making a throw. And yeah, that's a problem. McKee hasn't practiced in over a week, and realistically, with a broken thumb, he's not going to be ready to go by Thursday. Basic medical timelines say you're looking at 4 to 6 weeks minimum for recovery. So the Eagles had to make a move, and they did. Enter Sam Howell, who's now set to be Jalen Hurts' primary backup for Week 1. It's not ideal, bringing someone this late in the game and asking them to be ready for immediate action, but under the circumstances, it's the best move available. Howell's got a better shot of holding it down if, God forbid, something happens to Jalen than a guy like Dorian Thompson-Robinson or Kyle McCord, who are also floated as potential backups. Still, you've got to feel for McKee. The guy was grinding to carve out a real role, and an injury like that just derails all that momentum. Hopefully, he heals up quickly and gets another shot later in the season, because he definitely looked like someone who could contribute. But for now, the Eagles will roll with Howell behind Hurts, and we'll all be hoping we don't need to see him on the field anytime soon. Now, speaking of injuries, let's shift to some of the updates we got this week, because, as usual, there's a bit of good news and bad news here. Starting with Landon Dickerson, who just cannot catch a break. First off, the guy is a monster. He had knee surgery just 2 weeks ago, and then, somehow, he's already back at practice. Everyone was shocked to see him out there. The man heals like Wolverine or something. But just when it looked like he was going to defy the odds and actually suit up against Dallas, boom, he's off the practice field again. And this time it's not the knee. It's a back injury. Out of nowhere. The team's official report confirmed it, saying Landon missed practice Monday due to back issues, and now it's very likely he won't be available for Thursday night. That's a huge blow. Dickerson is a cornerstone of that offensive line, and having him out against a ferocious Cowboys front isn't exactly the start you want. You know, he was doing everything he could to be ready, but sometimes your body just doesn't cooperate. The hope now is that the back injury isn't something long-term, and we'll see him back in action soon. But for this week, it's looking like the Eagles will need to shuffle that interior line and rely on their depth. And that brings us to the team's recent roster move. Kenyon Green getting called back up to the active roster. Coincidence? Probably not. It sure looks like a contingency plan in case Dickerson can't go. And honestly, it's a smart insurance policy to have. Depth along the offensive line is going to be critical this year, especially with a physical team like the Cowboys on the schedule right out the gate. Switching gears for a second, let's talk about one piece of good news on the injury front. A.J. Brown is officially good to go. After missing significant time in training camp with a hamstring issue, the star wideout is back in full swing. And he said it himself, he's 100% playing in the opener. That's massive. Brown is more than just a top-tier receiver. He's a tone setter for this offense, a guy who commands attention on every single snap. His presence changes the way defenses line up, and with Jalen Hurts under center, that connection is going to be vital if the Eagles want to start the year strong. Plus, A.J. was just named a team captain for the third straight season. That says everything you need to know about how much this team values him, not just for what he brings on the field, but as a leader in the locker room. Having him back healthy and ready to go adds a huge boost to the offense, especially in a matchup like this where every possession could be a battle. And speaking of captains, one of the more underrated but genuinely awesome stories heading into this season is the rise of Reed Blankenship. The undrafted safety has climbed the ranks, put in the work, and now enters this season not only as a projected starter, but as a first-time team captain. That's huge. His teammates clearly respect the heck out of him, and it's a testament to the kind of work ethic and mentality Reed brings every day. But what's even more interesting, there's now legitimate buzz that a contract extension for Blankenship might be on the way very soon. Multiple reports and insiders have hinted at it, and the dots are starting to connect. Not only did Reed recently change agents, a move that often signals contract talks, but some sources close to the team are saying an extension is expected sooner rather than later. If that's true, it's a fantastic move. Locking down a young, hungry, and now clearly respected leader on defense is exactly what smart organizations do. All right, before we wrap this part up, let's circle back to one last area of concern, and that's the rest of the secondary. Andrew Makuba, the rookie safety, finally returned to practice this week after missing a huge chunk of training camp with a hamstring injury. It's definitely good to see him back, but don't expect him to start on Thursday. That spot opposite Blankenship looks like it's going to third-year player Sidney Brown. Brown has stayed healthy, looked sharp in preseason, and was held out of the finale, which usually signals that the coaching staff sees him as a Week 1 starter. It's a big opportunity for him, and it'll be fun to see how he handles it under the bright lights. And the same goes for a couple of other key positions, linebacker and cornerback especially. The Eagles haven't officially announced starters, but you can read the tea leaves. Rookie Jahad Campbell is expected to start next to Zach Bond at linebacker, and Adoree Jackson is likely going to get the nod at corner opposite Quinyon Mitchell. Now, I know some fans are uneasy about Jackson, and honestly, I get it. It's not exactly a lockdown duo like last year. But Jackson has experience, and Sirianni has praised his toughness and ability to shadow receivers. For now, it looks like he's the guy. That said, keep your eye on rookie Jacorian Bennett. There's still a lot of buzz around him, and Vic Fangio even said he expects Bennett to be out there at some point this season, maybe even Thursday. So that's definitely a battle worth watching as we head into Week 1. So while the Eagles are locking in their game plan and finalizing their roster, the Cowboys have been busy making some noise of their own, and not all of it is exactly brilliant. The biggest headline coming out of Dallas just days before the opener, they gave cornerback Darren Bland a massive new deal, 4 years, $92 million. And look, Bland is a solid player, no question. But when you really step back and look at the full picture, The timing and context of this extension are just bizarre. Let's not forget that this is the same Cowboys front office that just let Micah Parsons walk out the door because they didn't want to pay him. Parsons, arguably the best player on that entire roster, gone. Traded because Jerry and company didn't want to shell out what he was worth. And then days later, they turn around and give a huge payday to Bland. Again, I'm not saying Bland isn't talented. He is. But to prioritize him over a generational defensive talent like Parsons, that's the kind of decision-making that has plagued Dallas for years. And as an Eagles fan, you can't help but find the whole thing a little bit hilarious. It's classic Cowboys chaos, right before one of the most important games of their season. But while Dallas is busy making questionable front office moves, the Eagles are staying focused on the task at hand. And that starts with the coaching staff making some final, quiet decisions on starting roles. Now, even though Nick Sirianni has been tight-lipped about announcing who's officially starting where, all signs point to those decisions already being made behind closed doors. At this point, the only people being kept in the dark are us, the fans, and maybe even the media. The players know, the coaches know, and they're not going to tip their hand to Dallas ahead of the matchup. At linebacker, it's hard to ignore how the coaching staff treated Jahad Campbell during the preseason. The rookie didn't play in the final game, a sign that his spot was secure. Meanwhile, guys like Jeremiah Trotter Jr. were still fighting for reps. Add to that Campbell's strong performances throughout camp, his high draft status, and how well he's adapted to Fangio's defensive system, and it's pretty clear he's locked into that starting linebacker role next to Zach Bond. And honestly, it's a pairing that could really work. Bond brings experience and versatility, while Campbell adds speed, instincts, and that raw playmaking ability this team has been missing in the middle of the defense since forever, really. Then there's the cornerback situation. And let's just be real for a minute. This is probably the one area on the roster that still feels a little shaky heading into week 1. Gone are the days of having elite corners lining up on both sides. This year, there are question marks. Quinyon Mitchell looks like a future star and has the tools to be special, but he's still a rookie, and the learning curve in the NFL is no joke. And now it looks like Adoree Jackson is going to be the other starter. That's fine. He's a veteran, he's got decent speed, and Sirianni made sure to praise his competitiveness, his toughness, and his willingness to stick his nose in the action. But he's also been inconsistent, and it's fair to wonder how well he'll hold up against some of the top receivers in the league. What's interesting, though, is that behind the scenes, the Eagles seem to be keeping a close eye on Jacorian Bennett. The rookie might not have the starting gig just yet, but you can tell the team sees something in him. He's fast, physical, and has shown flashes in practice and preseason. Plus, Vic Fangio himself went out of his way to mention him by name, saying he likes his speed, attitude, and football IQ. That kind of public praise from a guy like Fangio, that's not nothing. And he even hinted that Bennett could see action at some point this season, maybe even this week. That tells me this position is far from settled, and if Adoree struggles early, Bennett could get a shot sooner rather than later. All of this just shows how much turnover there's been on this Eagles defense. Last year, this unit was stacked with veterans and top-tier talent across the board. This year, it's younger, more raw, and definitely less predictable. But that also makes it more exciting. Guys like Blankenship, Brown, Campbell, and Mitchell are hungry. They've got something to prove. And you can already feel that chip-on-the-shoulder energy taking over the defensive side of the ball. It might not be perfect out of the gate, but there's a lot of potential here. A lot of guys who could surprise some people. There's still more to come this week, with final roster tweaks likely, a few lingering injury questions, and maybe even that Reed Blankenship extension getting finalized. But for now, the table is set. The banner is ready to rise. And all that's left is for the Birds to take the field and remind everyone why they're still the team to beat in the NFC. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The sports world was sent into a whirlwind of speculation and excitement yesterday as the Philadelphia Eagles reportedly pulled off what could be considered one of the most shocking trades in recent NFL history, allegedly acquiring Josh Allen, the star quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. Rumors first surfaced in the early hours of the morning, spreading through social media and sports networks, with analysts scrambling to confirm the details of the blockbuster deal. According to whispers from insiders, the Eagles' front office have been quietly negotiating with the Bills for weeks, carefully crafting a package that could entice Buffalo to part with their franchise quarterback, a player widely regarded as one of the most dynamic and talented signal callers in the league today. Fans across the country reacted with a mixture of disbelief, excitement, and skepticism, flooding Twitter and Instagram with reactions that range from celebratory memes to incredulous questions about the feasibility and implications of the trade. If true, this acquisition could represent a seismic shift in the NFL landscape, reshaping not only the AFC East and NFC East dynamics, but also the broader playoff picture, as analysts begin to speculate about how Allen's presence could transform the Eagles' offensive strategy and long-term championship aspirations in ways that few could have predicted even a month ago. The buzz around this rumor is only intensifying as every sports commentator seems to have a different take on the potential fallout of such a monumental move. The speculation surrounding Josh Allen's potential move to Philadelphia has taken on a life of its own, with every outlet and sports podcast dissecting the possible motivations behind the Eagles' bold maneuver. According to sources claiming familiarity with the situation, the Eagles may have recognized a once-in-a-generation opportunity to elevate their franchise to a new level of national prominence, seeing in Allen the kind of quarterback whose arm strength, mobility, and leadership qualities could instantly convert a strong roster into a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Meanwhile, fans of the Bills are reportedly in a state of disbelief, grappling with the idea of losing a cornerstone player who has carried Buffalo deep into the playoffs over the last several seasons. Social media debates have erupted over whether the Eagles would be able to maintain team chemistry while integrating a player of Allen's caliber, or whether the pressure and expectations of joining a team already with established stars could create unforeseen challenges. Analysts have begun speculating about the potential impact on draft picks, salary cap considerations, and coaching strategies, highlighting the complexity and potential risk of executing a trade of this magnitude. Some experts even suggest that the rumor, if proven true, would set a new precedent for NFL trades, potentially inspiring other teams to pursue similarly audacious deals in the future, further fueling the narrative that the league is entering a bold, unpredictable new era. As the rumor mill continues to churn, the discussions surrounding Josh Allen's hypothetical relocation to Philadelphia have expanded to include a wide array of potential scenarios, each more tantalizing than the last. Observers are pondering the impact on Eagles' offensive schemes, considering how the combination of Allen's arm talent and mobility could be paired with the team's existing weapons, including a deep roster of receivers and a dynamic rushing attack. Fans have taken to forums and social media platforms to theorize about how head coach Nick Sirianni might restructure his playbook to fully leverage Allen's unique skill set, while sports analysts weigh the potential defensive adjustments necessary to complement a more aggressive offensive philosophy. Meanwhile, the psychological and cultural implications of such a move are also being discussed, with experts speculating on how the Eagles' locker room dynamics might shift with the arrival of a high-profile, high-pressure quarterback in the middle of a competitive season. Every small detail has become a topic of debate. From the nuances of Allen's contract to the rumored trade compensation, each piece of the puzzle is being scrutinized for its implications on team performance and long-term strategy. The rumor, whether it ultimately materializes or not, has already generated significant attention and anticipation, with the sports community seemingly united in its obsession with this potential game-changing development. The financial and managerial implications of a rumored trade involving Josh Allen and the Philadelphia Eagles have also become a major focal point of discussion among analysts and fans alike. Rumors suggest that if the trade is legitimate, it would require a significant restructuring of both teams' salary caps, with Philadelphia potentially leveraging draft picks, future contracts, and existing player valuations to make the deal viable. Sports economists have begun exploring hypothetical scenarios, examining how the Eagles could balance short-term spending with long-term financial health while integrating a player of Allen's magnitude into a roster that is already loaded with talent. Similarly, The Bills would need to consider not only the immediate compensation, but also the future trajectory of the team without their franchise quarterback, leading to intense speculation about which young players or draft picks could fill the void and maintain competitive relevance. Fans and media have latched onto these complexities, creating a sense of narrative suspense akin to a serialized drama, with every tweet or insider leak treated as a potential plot twist. Betting markets have also reacted, with odds for both teams' playoff performances fluctuating dramatically based on the credibility of the rumors. The financial and strategic ripple effects of such a trade, even as speculation, underscore just how significant this potential move could be, elevating the discussion from mere rumor to a full-blown national conversation about the future of two storied NFL franchises and the competitive landscape of the league as a whole. Beyond the immediate implications for the teams involved, the rumored acquisition of Josh Allen by the Philadelphia Eagles has sparked broader discussions about the nature of player movement in the NFL and the increasing volatility of team rosters in today's league. Analysts have pointed out that the potential trade reflects a shift in organizational strategy, where teams are more willing to take high-risk, high-reward approaches to secure elite talent, even at the expense of long-term stability. Sports commentators are drawing parallels to past blockbuster trades, debating whether this rumored deal could surpass historical benchmarks in terms of both audacity and potential impact. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.